everyone. Welcome back to the Goody Life, where life is good and everything is great. I am Dr. Goody, and the Goody Life is all about finding motivation, inspiration, and self-growth in all different aspects and areas of your life. And if you guys watched my video from last week, you know all of July month will be about health and wellness. So every Friday I'll be uploading a video where I'm talking about health and wellness, and I'm bringing in experts from across the globe. Last week we had our personal trainer where she talked about the benefits of being active and the importance of it. And this week I have joining me is a licensed nutritionist, and she will be talking about all the health benefits that goes into nutrition and why it's important for us to take care of our body and what we're putting in. And as I always mention in all of my video, this video is solely for informational and educational purposes. That said, I'd like to welcome Celina as she educates us and tell us about the health benefits of having a good nutrition.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us. This whole month I'm talking about health and wellness, and I have people coming in from different parts of the world, Celine, where they're talking about different health benefits and why it's important for us to take care of ourselves. So if you don't mind, because I know you're in a different part from California, just give us a little bit of introduction about yourself. Tell us about your background a little bit, and
Sure.
what led you into nutrition?
So my name is Celina. I am a mom of 3, and to make a very long story short, I was very thin growing up, never had a weight problem, but every woman in my family did. And most of the men in my family are either diabetic or have severe heart issues, vascular disease, heart attack, stroke. And after my 3rd baby, I found myself 65 pounds overweight, and my father had a stroke at 56 years old, a massive stroke. He has made like a 98% recovery, which is fantastic. But it was in that moment where I was changing my 3rd baby's diaper and I was overweight and my dad had a stroke. I went into the hospital and I was watching him suffer, and I thought, oh my gosh, I need to make changes. I cannot continue to live the way that I'm living and eat whatever I want. I need to lose weight, and I need to learn how to fuel my body properly. And so that was really the turning point for me. I'm actually a kitchen and bath designer by trade, and decided that nutrition was going to be something that I was going to learn about and heavily focus on moving forward. So that's the background of why I became a nutritionist.
So most of the time when we pick or we move on to a journey or something that's really close to us that we believe in, it has to do with personal story. And I can see you hit that right away. It had a personal reason why you decide, hey, I have to do something about my nutrition. I need to make some changes. And for you, it had to do with your dad. And then it also had to do a little bit with your weight gain, you said, right?
Correct.
So yeah, I think we all choose certain things or we get into certain path, and that's what makes it so much. And that's part of the reason why I have my YouTube channel too, is it's not just about talking about, hey, how to get stuff done, but all of us have personal stories and personal journeys of why we got there or why we chose to go down that direction. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah. So I know you talked about why you got into nutrition, but what advice or how do you voice the importance of nutrition? Why is it so important for us to make sure we adapt this in our day-to-day life?
The biggest takeaway as far as importance is if you don't make time for your health now, you're going to have to make time for your illness later. That is a quote that I actually heard a long time ago, or maybe, I saw it in a meme or something. And also around the time of my dad's stroke. And so that really struck a chord with me. And I've kind of based my approach with nutrition around that. I think that you have to make time now to be healthy, and you have to fuel your body properly, or you will have to make time for illness later. It's so much more than losing weight and feeling good on the outside, but it's really what's happening on the inside, because everything you eat is affecting your body on a cellular level. And as women, I can't speak for men other than the clients that I've worked with, but as women, we tend to focus on what's happening on the outside, right? We want to look good. We want to feel good in our skin. We want to look good in our clothes. And it really is about so much more than that. And so the basic importance of nutrition is knowing what you're putting into your body for your future.
That's such a great point you make. Take care of yourself now. So we're not necessarily saying you're curing anything, but prevention is always the
exactly
method. It's the best recipe for life if you can prevent something from happening, right? And that has to do with health and wellness a lot. And a lot of time, I mentioned when I was talking to the fitness trainer last week, a lot of time people hear the word nutrition, and sometimes we think diet more so, or when we think physical fitness, we think weight loss. But that's not the only concept, at least for myself, for my own personal growth. That's not the only reason. It's not only about losing all this weight or what I'm looking like on the outside. It's what's happening on the inside. I always preach this a lot. Take care of your inside first, and the outside automatically you'll start seeing that reflection of what.
That's absolutely correct.
On the inside. And I remember growing up, one of the statement, it's a ghastly statement, first of all, that I hear is, in my culture, first of all, I have Indian heritage and I'm from South America. And one of the things they would say to women there, because most of the females, they get married after they're out of high school, which is about 16, 18.
Wow.
And they felt like life was over at 30. I'm like, oh my gosh, that means I'm screwed right now. At 30, you're going to gain all this weight and you're going to be just almost like you're not important. And that's such a wrong concept. And both of my parents are very heavy set people. So I made it a priority and a goal of mine to take care of my health in general. Yeah. That's starting with nutrition. And when you're younger, between that, like, let's say 16, 25, I'm not telling those people, hey, measure, do everything. Because I think you can remember, we probably ran into a wall at 20 and we're fine to go to work the next day, right? But as we do get into late 20s, 30s, 40s, and as we go further, our body is not the same anymore. So
that's right.
It's important for us to be very careful and cautious what we're intaking and how much of it we're intaking when it comes to nutrition. I just wanted to add that to what you were saying, like where you started off and how it kind of led. And my journey actually started off from a negative feedback I had growing up that pushed me towards my health and wellness journey.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That happens to a lot of people. I think even when you're thin growing up, I was skinny shamed. I didn't even know that was a thing until I became an adult and started learning about nutrition and learning about my body. But I was skinny shamed growing up. I had a particular person in my family tell me that I should eat more. And I think I kind of took that to heart when I was pregnant. I thought that if I didn't eat enough, that I was going to affect my babies somehow. And with my first pregnancy, I gained way too much weight and made it even harder on myself to lose that weight afterwards. So I think it's really important, an important point that you made, that no matter what size you are, you can somehow be shamed or, somehow affected at growing up for what we're taught from our elders. And another important point is that the nutrition science is constantly changing. And so there's always myths. My grandma would say, oh, don't eat too many carbs. And then, in the 80s, it was, oh my God, you can't eat any fat. And, it was just like, they just, like you said, this is to the tune of the word diet. Diet is really just what you eat, right? It's just what you put in your mouth. So you might eat McDonald's all day, every day, and that's your diet. And I might eat salad all day, and that's my diet. But I think people hear the word nutrition and diet, and they really get it twisted. And I think it's important for women to educate themselves on this.
Very much so. I think that's a great way of looking at it. When you talk about growing up and you're talking about all these things, it's definitely one of the questions that I'll be asking next also is when it comes to culture, some of us eat very different. Like I mentioned, I grew up in an Indian background, and eating for us is, I don't know if it's a party every day. I'm not sure. Breakfast is huge. Lunch is huge. Dinner is huge. And if we don't eat something on that table, Ma is upset. Okay.
Yeah, so that's right.
I don't know whether you encounter clients like this, and that's the part that the point I was trying to make also was when you talked about growing up, all the different concepts that they change with diet when we're talking about nutrition. We really should be able to tell what's a trend, because diets come all the time. There's so many diets and there's so many different beliefs out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Try this, try that, do this, do that, but they also get debunked. They're like, oh,
Yeah.
this didn't work. This was actually the worst thing. I was like, wait a minute, I did this for 6 months, you know?
Yep.
So
Yep.
it's not always applicable to everyone, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't necessarily mean that all of them are something that will work, because most of the time diets has a trend. They come in of trend, they go out of trend, just like fashion, right? So
Yep.
do you encounter clients, thinking of my own culture where we eat big? One of the things I think of now, or that I have changed, is my portion size. I am not somebody who can just eat salad all the time. I try to incorporate all of that, but my portion size was very important when I'm eating now. So how do you
Yep.
kind of advise someone who's coming from a culture when they're eating a lot or they want to make a change to their diet plan? What's an advice or tip that you give to that person?
So currently, I'm glad you asked that question. I currently am training an Italian client, and I also have a Mexican client. Both of those clients are eating very carb heavy diets when they're coming to me. And they said, I know, I need to cut back on the carbs. And my response to them is, no, not really. I'm not taking anything away from your diet. We're not eliminating anything, but we are going to portion control. I don't think anybody that comes from any specific cultural background should change specifically what they're eating, but just maybe how much of it, and maybe taking out some of the higher calorie foods or the bulk of higher calorie foods and replacing them with some lower calorie foods. And what I mean by that is, so for my Mexican client, she said, I eat a lot of rice and beans. It's just, it's part of my diet. It's a staple. Do I have to get rid of my rice and beans? I'm like, absolutely not. We'll keep your rice and beans. We're going to use your beans as your protein and your rice as your carb, but we're going to add in a lot of veggies. So is there a way you can take that meal and make it a bowl? And then you can add a ton of bulk that's lower calorie. If she adds veggies to that, whether she cooks them or, steams them or just eats them raw, doesn't matter to me. It's all about replacing some of it with lower calorie and more nutrient dense foods. So we don't, at least in my practice, I don't talk about foods being good or bad. So I don't find carbs to be bad. I don't find ice cream to be bad. We talk about foods in terms of nutritionally dense or not nutritionally dense. And so it's important for me when I'm addressing a client, to make sure that I tell them I still eat ice cream. If I want to go out to ice cream with my kids, I go out to ice cream with my kids and I have ice cream. But I'm making sure that I'm having a proper portion of it. If I ask for a kitty cone and they make it this big, I only eat some of it. Or if I choose that I want to eat all of it, I'm conscious of that decision. It's not that I can't have it. It's that I'm choosing not to have it in that moment. You know what I mean? Or it's not that I shouldn't have it. I'm choosing in that moment. I'm making a conscious decision of what I'm putting in my mouth and in my body. So from a cultural aspect, I try to continue to guide them with eating the foods that they're used to eating and that they love, but just finding different ways to either portion them out or make the foods bulkier with lower calorie options included. And that way you can still eat in bulk, but just you're taking in less calories. It's one of the reasons actually why fad diets work. People say, my girlfriend did keto and she lost 40 pounds. I'm sure she did, because when you're doing ketosis, there's a lot less foods you can eat. And so people tend to get stuck and don't know what to eat. And they're eating all meat and veggies, but you can't eat too many veggies on keto because you'll throw yourself out of ketosis. And so they're eating a lot less calories than they would normally consume. So of course you're going to have weight loss. So I think that that's true with any diet, whether you're doing a whole food diet or paleo or Atkins or keto or any of the other fad diets out there. Do some of them have benefits? Yeah, absolutely. But it would never be something that I would recommend, because at the end of the day, it really does boil down to calories in, calories out. And so portion sizing is one of the huge caveats to a cultural diet, is just knowing how much you should be eating at each meal and throughout the day.
I like your concept of how you're talking about portion size and what we eat and how to keep some of those things still there for people, because realistically speaking, especially if somebody like my family who came from South America, they may not have the means to always pay and buy this specific meal plan and meal type. So learning
Yeah,
how to adapt to the ones you have and
that's
what
right.
you cut out and what you can add in just at your home, right? It's much more
Yeah.
applicable, I think, and it's a little bit more easier to maintain. And once you're getting the nutrition factors in your inside your body, I think that's what's so vital.
Yeah, agreed.
The next thing I hear a lot, just like when it comes to physical fitness with nutrition, it's hard to maintain it. We kind of just talked about that, right? Maintaining.
Yeah.
So when someone wants to change over to a healthier diet, sometimes, like I said, if for me, I was always eating big portions. So then all of a sudden I wanted to change over and portion size my food. How, like, what's your tips for people to maintain that? Because it's really easy when we form a habit to fall back
Yeah.
on the old patterns, right? What
Yeah.
what advice or feedback do you give to someone who wants to start a healthy diet? They want to figure out, how do I get on this track and how do I stay motivated to maintain it? What's the prize? What's the end goal here for me to do it? How do you
Yeah.
encourage someone?
So getting started is always the hardest part for anybody. I think it's important that you're making the decision to start and you have to commit, you have to set a date. The biggest advice I would give someone is to find a nutrition coach or an accountability partner. You have to find someone who can get you started on that path, whether it's someone that you pay or someone that's willing to help you out for free, or somebody who maybe has done it before, but you have to find an accountability partner, because without somebody there to constantly cheer you on and support you and guide you, it's going to be really difficult to stick to anything. So actually studies have shown that 85% of people who start anything, whether it's a diet, a new nutrition program, or diet and exercise program in combination with each other, or weight loss journey or muscle building journey, 85% of people who start this with an accountability partner will stay committed to what they started. 85%, that's a big number. That speaks volumes. So my number one advice would be to find a nutrition coach, or somebody else who has been through it, or somebody who knows what they're doing. I offer free consults all the time, and a lot of times I give enough information in my consults that can get somebody started and on the right path. And every once in a while, I'll just check in with them and make sure they're doing okay. And then if they need help, they might hire me for a custom meal plan, or if they're like, you know what, I need more help. I thought I could do this without having you by my side the whole time. And then other people just need that little bit of information to get off and running, and they're good on their own, because really and truly, nothing is going to change until you're so uncomfortable in your own skin and in your own position that the discomfort of staying the same outweighs the discomfort of changing. So I can give anybody the tools, right? But they have to really, really want to do it, and they have to really commit to it to make the change happen. So number one, get yourself a nutrition coach, an accountability partner, somebody who knows what they're doing and can help you out. And number two, baby steps. Unless you're an all-in person, as I like to call them, I always recommend baby steps, because people who make too many changes at once generally don't stick to it. So it might be something as simple as, I'm going to eat breakfast tomorrow. I don't normally eat breakfast, so I'm going to start my day with a healthy breakfast tomorrow. And then that's the only goal you have to focus on that day. So nutrition coach, baby steps. that would be my this is how you get started advice.
No, those are great tips. I think both of those tips are so important. Baby steps is really, really vital when you're making changes, because sometimes last week I was sharing that one time I decided to, because I'm a very active person, so I thought I can be active, I can do any kind of activity, but that's not true. Just because you're active doesn't mean I can do any physical activity, correct? So I decided to do 100 squats. I wanted to squats. First time I'm doing squats. I did complete that 100 squats, but it completely threw me off for a week. My legs were hurting, and I just don't like doing squats. Maybe if I had started off with 5, 10, I would have been 25, and I would have been able to maintain it, and I would have kept that as part of my lifestyle. So when you jump too big, it's really quick to quit, and we don't want to do it again. right?
That's right.
So baby step is very important. It's a very important part of it. The next part, I like where you mentioned, it's good to seek professional help. Meet with a nutritionist if that's what you need to do, or get a support buddy. For myself, I'm lucky in a sense where I do have a partner where we are each other's support buddies, so we hold each other accountable. So having someone that keeps you accountable, especially, it's really easy for us to fall off and say, oh, I don't want to cook today, let's do this. And at least from one day to the next day where you're buying food and things like that, or even when it comes to workout, you skip it a few days, we don't focus on those health benefits anymore. We just get back to old habits. So having that person, as much as I'm a big preacher and taking care of yourself and doing it individually, but we do need that social support to help push us a lot of times.
Yeah, I agree.
I know you mentioned earlier that you are a nutritionist and you do have where you meet with clients. So, if someone is watching this video and they wanted to reach out to you, how can they get in contact with you?
There's a few ways you can get in contact with me, but the fastest and easiest way is to go to SculptedMom.com, and I have a contact form in there. And actually, anybody who wants to reach out for a free consult, please feel free. If you go to SculptedMom.com, you can click right on the Contact Me, or I think it might say Contact Celina button. And it'll bring you right to a form, and you can just fill out your name and email address and whatever questions you might have, and I'm happy to answer any of them for free. And anybody who does reach out to me, I will give them or send them a 7-day summer body, what we call our summer body meal plan. So that would be a benefit to reaching out to me and just asking questions, as you'll get a free 7-day meal plan.
Wow. So there's no reason why these people shouldn't be reaching out to you. I would want to try
that. Exactly.
So as we're wrapping up, I'm coming down to the last questions. I've asked you so many things. You have given us so many good advice, so many good feedback on how we can take care of ourselves and the importance of nutrition. What would you say when it comes to age and diet? And how is it valuable that we adapt a healthy diet at a certain time to make sure we're taking care of ourselves and we're giving ourselves that future plan, that prevention from ahead, Where do we start with this for ourselves?
So that's a great question, and it's something that I have had to kind of study and adapt to myself. I just turned 42, and in my 20s, I kind of ate what I wanted and did what I wanted, and I was able to stay thin until I started having babies. And so I'm working with a client right now who said, I'm perimenopausal and I don't want to start hormone therapy. How can I control these, all of these crazy symptoms I'm having? Is there a way to control them with my diet? The answer is yes, there is. There's always a way to control most things with your diet. In her case, I would recommend that she eat more soy. I know people are scared of soy, but there's lots of studies out there that debunk all the old myths about soy. So that's one thing. There's a ton of other things that she can do and she can eat, and I won't fully get into perimenopause, but just speaking to eating for age, I think it's really important to make sure that you're getting enough protein. As women, we tend to lose muscle mass as we grow older. There's a lot of different, osteoporosis is a problem, and a lot of other kind of bone density loss issues as we age. So focusing on protein, focusing on fiber to make sure that your digestive system is running well. There's a lot of things that happen in our digestive system that people don't realize really affect their health. And so you have to have all of those things running optimally and kind of together. So I always suggest making sure that you're eating protein at every meal and snack, getting enough fiber, a lot of fruits and veggies. Can you go overboard on healthy food? Yes, you can. Calorically speaking, you can, but you're never gonna, do yourself any disservice by eating too many fruits and veggies. So really focusing on those things and knowing kind of what stage is next in your life, and again, doing a little research, maybe reaching out to a nutritionist and knowing how are you going to conquer that next stage of your life and those things that might be an issue, like bone loss or perimenopause, or, maybe you're younger and you're looking to get pregnant, and you're looking to, grow a baby for the next 9 months. It's super important what you're putting into your body. You're going to need a lot more iron. You're going to need more folic acid. And so there's always a way to tweak nutrition to combine those things, but it's all about knowledge and reaching out to somebody who has that knowledge or doing, I don't really recommend Google searches per se, but finding finding a reputable source where you can do your research, and really knowing what problems you might, encounter moving forward, and then how to combat them with your nutrition.
There's so much research that's out there already for the benefits of nutrition. I mean, we can't even begin to emphasize how important it is. Like I said, we're not talking cure here, we're talking prevention.
Prevention, yes.
The idea here is you're preventing a lot of stuff for your health and taking care of your health in the future. The earlier you start taking care of your body, the earlier you start identifying, okay, what am I intaking? What am I putting into my body? What are the benefits of this? How does this help me? Because it's not just like your physical factors, like there's mental factors, there's physical, emotional, mental. All of it has a contribution to do with how we're eating, what we're doing on a day-to-day basis. So it's really important that we're not talking here, like I said, about just weight or cure. We're talking about prevention and taking care of yourself and your health now and the future. And the earlier we start, the better it would be.
That's right. In my 20s, I wish I knew what I knew now. I wish I had cared about it enough to know, because I think I would have fared much better body-wise in my pregnancies had I stuck to the nutrition and fitness routines that I have now. So I think it's important for young people, to start focusing on those things now. And it doesn't have to be, I think people are worried that when they start any kind of journey as far as nutrition and fitness, that it has to be all encompassing, right? Their whole entire life is going to revolve around it. And I don't want to be one of those crazy fitness and nutrition nuts. But that's really not the case. It's really just having the knowledge and being aware.
Yeah.
And just making good choices. I kind of live by an 85-15 rule. 85% of my choices are made purposefully to fuel my body properly, to make sure that I'm operating at optimal health. And then 15% of my diet and choices is fun, going out to ice cream with my kids, or maybe indulging in some birthday cake on one of their birthdays, or something along those lines. So just kind of coming up with guidelines just for what your life and what you envision for it, not just now, but in the future, is really important.
Yeah. Balance. Moderation and balance is very important.
That is my motto.
Yeah, same here. Having that throughout all our decision making, it helps a lot, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
And I just want to speak to, just very briefly, I know you said you spoke with a personal trainer. Mm-hmm. I'm also a trainer, and I think that people don't realize that the two really do go hand in hand. You can lose weight without working out, and you can also, obtain decent results working out and not really eating the greatest, but you won't ever get to where you really want to be without both, without incorporating both. And I think that fitness should be looked at in combination with nutrition, in combination with mental health and self-care. I think all of those things are all encompassing as far as nutrition, because if you're eating a great diet and you're working out, but you are really incredibly stressed out, that cortisol response in your body that triggers insulin release and all those things, you might be doing all the right things, but if you're really stressed out in your life, you might still have like a hormonal belly, is what we call it. And so kind of having all of your ducks in a row without making yourself crazy, again, balance and moderation, right. Is really, really important.
Yeah, don't go off the edge when we're trying to find a balance, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Try to align it. And I'm so glad you mentioned, and you kind of wrapped it up so nicely, how all of this goes together. It's our physical, emotional, and mental health. All of it is part of us. We're the same person, and how we take care of ourselves comes with all these different things. Like we talked about physical fitness, you talked about nutrition, and since this whole month I'm just talking about ways to take care of ourselves. Next week I'm actually going to have a yoga instructor talk about the importance and why it's important for us to practice yoga or meditation, and how does those things benefit us, because stressor come from all different areas of life, work, family, you name it, right? But finding the balance to take care of these things, I think it comes through doing these activities for ourselves: eating well, working out, learning coping skills, be it yoga or meditation, it helps to relax your overall inner self. And that also comes out on the outer selves. And I mean, if that's not self-growth on a bigger level, for me, that's what it is, I guess.
Yeah, that's what it should be for everybody, really.
I want to thank you so much, Celina, for joining me today in making this video. I know I liked all your tips and advice and just your format in general. So is there anything else you would like to add before we say goodbye?
No, I just wanted to say thank you for having me. I really respect you a lot as a doctor. I respect you as a person. And I really appreciate you choosing me to talk about this topic. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us. All right.
Take care.
So there you had it, guys. We learned so much about nutrition, the benefits of it, the importance of it, and why we should take care of ourselves. Don't forget, if you like this video, to give a like, subscribe, and comment below. And I'll see you all in the next video, and I'll see you next week as we learn about the importance of yoga. Bye for now.